Assalamu alaikum friends, welcome back to the channel. In this short video, I'm going to share with you 4 things to learn if you are an Android beginner and you know the basics. Let's get started. First thing to learn if you are an Android developer beginner is dependency injection. Now, dependency injection isn't just for Android, you can use it in multiple places. This is a software development principle. Dependency injection make it easy to do refactoring, testing, and the reusability of the code because it allows you to design components that are loosely coupled. Here I'm talking specifically about Android and about Health. Health is dependency injection framework that will do this automatic dependency injection instead of doing manual dependency injection. So as I said, try to learn the fundamentals about dependency injection, why we do it, how we can do it manually. There is some great books about the topic, and there is here some kind of example of the famous car and engine example. Try to learn why we are doing certain things, and once you are comfortable with that, like do some manual dependency injection and then start learning Health. You'll be amazed by the feature and by the magic that Health will allow you to do. So that's the first thing, learn about dependency injection. The next thing to learn if you are a beginner Android developer is Jetpack Compose. So if you are a beginner Android developer and you started working with like normal view-based application with XML and everything, the next step is to learn about Jetpack Compose because like 99% it will be like the stable and it will be like the normal way to build Android application because it allows for many advantages. The same thing if you are a beginner who started working with like directly with Jetpack Compose, try to learn also about XML and like view binding, data binding, everything is that. Because sometimes you will have like legacy project that's still using this kind of system. They can't like do this huge refactoring for replacing the components with Jetpack Compose. Okay, so you have to work with also XML based project. So an Android developer can work with both Jetpack Compose and normal view based application. So of course, learn about that. There is a lot of tutorials and guidelines by the community, and also here in the official documentation, there is this training, like you get to know Android basic with Jetpack Compose, that's one, and also how you can adopt Jetpack Compose and the thinking behind Jetpack Compose, because also here in Jetpack Compose, there is some principles you have to learn. Always focus on the principles, not how to do things, not how to like make a button, like, well, of course you have to make buttons, images and so on, but focus on the principles. Like for example, there's something called modifier. What do we mean by modifier? How we can pass it and so on. There is also some principle called UDF or unidirectional flow of data. So this is also principle you need to learn. So always focus on the principles and then focus on the examples. So the second thing to learn if you know basic Android is Jetpack Compose. Okay? I will put all the links in the description. So if you use some Kotlin features, the next step for using Kotlin effectively in Android is Kotlin flows. Now, flow is type that can emit multiple values. So it's the same as Rx thing. If you know Rx Java, Rx Kotlin, like Rx reactive pattern, right? So Kotlin flow will enable you to do many things, especially it fits well in the Android and the Kotlin thing. There's multiple things to learn here about Kotlin flow, how you can create them, how you can modify them, how you can use state flow, shared flow in Android, and also how to test this thing in Android. And also how to refactor, like if you have like some callback that emit multiple things, like let's take for example location-based implementation. Like with location, with tracking of location, you'll have to emit multiple values. You can convert this into something like that uses Kotlin flow in order to provide clean implementation that uses everything in Kotlin. So Kotlin flow are the next thing if you know about Kotlin coroutines, and they are effectively built on Kotlin coroutines to provide multiple values. So learn about Kotlin flows if you don't know yet, and if you know only the Android basics. And finally, if you know Android basic, the next step is to learn about testing. Like test is an essential part of every software development project. So this is a skill, not kind of framework or technology you have to learn. And for Android, there is specific way to do testing. Like you have specific thing like instrumented test, local test, for example. And in Android, it's a little bit tricky and not complicated, but it is tricky because you have to separate well your components. They have to be loosely coupled in order to test them separately. So here there is this guideline for testing, like there's unit test integration, of course, end-to-end test. As I said, some terms here are just for the scale of testing, and others, for example, instrumented test is for specific to Android, because sometimes you have to do on the physical device or the emulator, of course, like you have to run those tests into a device, and sometimes you can run them into your computer. So testing is important and you have to learn how to do it automatically. Like for huge application, in order to test every feature, you don't have to do it like manually. And it's not about just the testing part. It enables us to do more refactoring without feeding our code and without introducing any regressions. So testing is the next biggest skill you have to learn. And also, this is not only for Android. Like when you do that, you'll be able to, if, for example, if you switch the career, for example, to web development, there's also some testing for web development, for desktop application, for backend and everything. Like testing is a fundamental thing in software development. If you want also to learn about testing principles, I suggest reading this book, Unit Testing Patterns Principles by Vladimir Khorikov. This is one of the best books about unit testing. So that's it for this video. I will put all the links in the description below. To recap, there is 4 things to learn if you are an Android developer. Well, there is more of that, but for me, 4 things are essential. The first one is dependency injection. The second one is Jetpack Compose. The third one is Kotlin flows. And finally, the fourth one is what is unit testing or testing in general in Android. So that's it for this video. Thanks a lot for watching this video to the end. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and see you in the next videos. Salam alaikum.